Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. This is Priya, Assistant Professor of English, and today we are here with the topic reading techniques. So, in the previous class, we have discussed about what is reading and what are the importance of reading, and we have looked into the different aspects of reading, how the reading should be done, how it is useful to us, how it is useful to everybody, and how effective it is to our brain, to our mind, to our overall development, how it can be helpful to you in all the ways. Maybe it the communication skills, the writing skills, your personality, etc., and all those things. So Today we are here to discuss the reading techniques. Means how an effective reading should be done. So everybody has to keep in mind that to master yourself in reading, there are certain techniques which you should follow. So here we'll discuss the different techniques. So just have an overall idea about what is reading. We'll just go through the basic things, and then we will start with the techniques of reading, how the reading should be done. So here reading is an important skill that is essential for both academic as well as, so we all know why reading is important over here, right? So reading is important for both, for our academic and as a professional success. So without reading, we cannot expect ourselves to be successful. So if you are you're fluent speaker, you're very fluent with your conversation, you're very confident while in your communication skills, you understanding the text, whatever the text may be given to you, whether it may be any project, any document, any policy document, rules, etc., which are provided to you when you are either in the academic setup or in your professional setup. So until and unless you are clear with the text which is there with you, you cannot progress, you cannot even expect your progress without lack of these skills. So reading, so the main conclusion over here is reading is a very necessary and an important skill that everybody should possess, to be successful in your life. Okay, so here we will discuss about the reading skills, how it can be improved, and what are the different techniques which can be implemented to improve your or to enhance your reading skills. So there are different kinds of reading skills, reading techniques, which include skimming, scanning, active reading techniques, detail reading in detail. Okay, so over here, skimming, when we come to the topic of skimming, the technique of skimming in reading, skimming is done to get the main ideas only. Okay, to just get an overall idea. We'll have a look into it in detail as the slide progress, as the class progress. And scanning is another way of reading, wherein you read to find the specific information. From the whole text, you need only a specific part of information, and for that purpose, scanning is done. And other active techniques of reading includes, underlining and taking the notes. This is very common method, and we must be aware of this technique, wherein whenever you're reading any material, whenever you're reading any text, so whatever things you feel important, whatever part of the text you feel important, just underline. When you understand that the meaning of the text, understand the main idea of the text, you try to make a note, you try to make notes for yourself. So this is very effective technique when you want to improve your reading skills, and it will be very helpful to you, in understanding the text very, thoroughly. You get the complete idea about the text, you understand it very in a very precise manner. So poor reading can result from an inability to understand words, sentences, or how information is organized, or from a lack of interest or concentration. So this we have already discussed how poor reading can affect you in all ways. You cannot be confident if you are not a good reader, if you're not a good analyzer, if you're not a person with a critical thinking. Okay, so reading is the most important part. If you are poor in reading, it will create that hurdles in your progress. Okay, so you need to understand what you are reading, and for that, you need to develop your reading skills. So, over here, developing good reading skills involves using strategies like, what are the different strategies which I used? This is a very, very important strategy like surveying, questioning, reading, reciting, and reviewing. So this is a very famous, very effective method which is called as the SQ3R method. Okay, so let's go into the next slide. Reading in detail. So what do you mean by reading in detail? As the name suggests, reading in detail means reading the topic or the text very carefully, which will help you, which helps you to understand the topic. Okay, so when reading for information, detailed reading usually follows scanning. Some texts, such as instruction, need to be read in detail throughout. So there are certain texts, there are certain instructions, which you have to understand. You should understand in detail, and for that you need to read that text really very carefully with complete concentration, with complete focus, so that you comprehend, you are easy, you are comfortable in interpreting the text. Okay, so that is reading in detail. Next reading technique could be called as a skimming, which we have discussed. So skimming is a strategic reading technique of reading to get the main ideas of an article that allows you to read more in less time. And this can be helpful in previewing a passage to decide if it's worth reading. So sometimes, we are in a hurry. We don't want to go through the whole text because the text is lengthier. You don't have much time and you don't want to spend much of your time in reading the entire text. So what kind of reading technique can be applied over here is skimming. So skimming over here includes, you're just going through the text in a quick way. You just want to get the main idea about the text. So what you can do over here is, we'll just go through the text in a short period of time, in less time, to get the more information. So when you're having a summary of the overall idea of that particular text, you can make a decision for yourself whether the particular text is worth reading, whether it will be helpful to me or not. So when you're getting this overall idea about the text, you understand whether it should be read in detail, or you just have to go through the pages. Okay, exactly as you do for your examination. Yeah, when you are done with your portion, when you're done with your syllabus, you're completely prepared for your exam. And just before the exam, before going to the exam, you just want to go through a quick revision. So what do we do is, we just open our textbooks and we just go on turning the pages. You're not going to read everything in detail because you don't have much time for the exam. So you'll be just going through the headings, the subheadings, if any graphs, any diagrams, any tables, any charts, if any, so that you get an overall idea of the main text. Okay, so how you can do this? How you can, go do the skimming of the text? So first thing what you could do is read the title. If it is an article, check the author, publication date, and source. So first and foremost thing you're going to do in this kind of reading technique is you'll read the title. Okay, next is read the introduction. The introduction will be there in the first part. So if it is very long, read only the first paragraph completely. Then read only the first sentence of every paragraph. That sentence will usually be the main idea of the paragraph. So when you are reading any textual part of your syllabus, any particular subject, so and you don't want, and it is a very long text, and you don't want to go through the entire text because you don't have much time, or you're not in a, you are in a hurry, and the paragraph and the text is very long. So what you could do is, you could just read the introduction, you could just read the opening paragraph. Opening paragraph will be the, the first paragraph which will be mentioned, wherein you will get the introduction, and the last paragraph will be the conclusion of the text, as we know. So, when you read the first paragraph of that text, you will get the overall idea about what the text is going to be about. Then you can just read the first two sentences of each paragraph, and every sentence, every first or second sentence of the paragraph, will be having the main idea of that paragraph, which is, called as the topic sentence of the paragraph. Okay, next, what you can do is read any headings. What you should do is you will read any headings and subheadings. As I have told you, this is the procedure which is followed in the skimming technique. You have read the title, you have done with the introduction, you have read the first and the last paragraph. Okay, you have read the first and the second sentence of each paragraph. You have got the overall idea, a rough idea about the text. Next, you're going to do is you will read the headings and the subheadings as the text we have. So each topic will be having the subheadings and will have the heading, and after that it will be having the subheadings. Okay, for example, its types, the examples, and all that. So, what you will do is read the headings and the subheadings. The headings, when taken together, form an outline of the main topics covered in the material. So, the main text will always have, the topics. Okay, and then you will be having the titles of that, paragraphs, which are called as the headings. The heading will be there, and after that the text will be explained in detail. So when you just go through the headings of each and every paragraph, of each and every topic, you get the outline, of the main text, means what the text comprises of. Okay, what are the main things which will be there in the text. Next, you're going to you will just look, in whether any pictures, charts, pie diagrams, graphs, any tables, with captions are given. So just go through these diagrams, pictures, tables, charts. Next, you will read the opening and the closing paragraph of the text to get the main idea of the text. So in this way, you're not spending in much of your time in reading. You're just going through the text. This technique is called as skimming. I hope you have understood. So the next topic is scanning. Yeah, so similar to scanning. So this is also a technique of reading, which is quite similar to scanning. But over here, the only difference is while doing the skimming, you're going to just read in less period, in a less amount of time to get the overall idea of the text. Whereas scanning is a technique which is used to look for specific pieces of information in the text. For example, you're preparing for an exam and you're not clear with some particular information. You're not clear with the particular topic. So what you're going to do is you just open your book, you just dive into that particular topic or piece of information which you really need, which you really, want to study. So scanning is a method of this could be called as a selective reading, wherein in your mind what topic you're going to look for, and you know it priorly, what information do you need, and directly you're just going into that topic without looking to the other topics. You're just straight away going to jump to that particular topic which you need. Okay, so this is called a scan. So when you are doing scanning, when searching for a particular fact or answer to a question, scanning can be best described as looking rather than a reading process. So you're just looking for the specific information which you want at that period of time. Okay, so scanning is also a very effective method for finding the specific detail of the text without extensively reading the text. So over here, when you're adopting this method of scanning, this technique of reading, you're just finding the specific detail which you need, you know, without going into the complete detail of the entire text. So just finding the specific information. So it is a very, very effective method when you just need to get information, specific information in that particular text. So next is, so how you are going to go about this method of scan. So first you need to state in your mind specifically the information for which you are looking. So it is a prerequisite. When you want that particular information, you should be specific, you should be clear about what text, what information you are looking for in that particular book or in that particular text. So just frame it as a question in your mind, or may make write, note this down in your book. Okay, what information do you need from this text? So if you frame that question for yourself, it will become easier for you to directly get into the topic and retrieve the information. So for that, you can also use the headings and other any other aids that will help you identify which sections might contain the information for which you are looking. So for this, what could be helpful to you is you could use the headings. So when you're looking into the headings, you will be more clear, you know, to identify the topic, the section, which might contain the information you are looking for. Next, so when you have found the needed information, carefully read the sentences in which it appears in, or in order to confirm that you have located the correct information. So this is about scanning. And next method of reading is intensive reading. So these are the again two methods which is called as the intensive method of reading and the extensive method of reading. So first, look into the intensive method. Intensive means, as the name suggests, which requires detailed study of the particular text or the paragraph. In this type of reading, the reader will, do careful reading of the text. He or she will look into all the details of the text, the language, the words, the grammar, the expressions, ideas, punctuations, the sentence structures, okay? Everything has to be kept in mind. So one needs careful reading while doing this intensive reading. So intensive reading has to be done with much more concentration and focus. So in intensive reading, we are talking about a careful reading of the text, right? So next, what is the purpose? So when you are doing this intensive reading, you try to understand anything and everything which is there in the paragraph. So the main purpose of doing this, the main intention behind doing the intensive reading is you want the complete information, whatever is there, everything in the text has to be understood by you. And for doing this, you need to do careful reading of the text. So this is why we do the intensive reading. So intensive reading can be more interesting by encouraging the students to ask questions to their classmates on the passage read on the or the passage read by them. So this can be encouraged in the classrooms, while the teacher is teaching in the class. So the students can ask, if they want to if they are really very inquisitive, really very enthusiastic about that particular topic, they want to get the detailed information about that particular topic. So this is a kind of activity which we can involve, which we can involve in the classroom, between the students. So the students can ask the questions to their classmates so that they can get the thorough understanding of that particular text. So different students, different people will be having different questions. So when you put all those questions onto the table and you have a discussion, the other person finds the solutions to that, answers to that question. So in this way, by interactive session, by using this encouraging environment in the classroom, you can help the students can help each other, as well as the teacher can also help the students to understand the text through intensive reading. Okay, so suppose if any passage is given to them, the passage is given and they require to answer certain questions from the passage. So this activity needs thorough understanding of that particular passage. When all the students read the text very carefully, putting in mind, all the aspects of the language, maybe the grammar, expressions, ideas, the parts of speech, the tenses, the sentence structures, okay, etc., etc., and he gets thorough understanding of the particular topic, he or she will find it very easy, to answer the questions which are followed by the paragraph or the passage. So this, creates a very positive environment in the classroom. This will encourage each and every student, to search out the questions from the passage. Okay, so intensive reading is a really very interesting way of reading. Next is called as the extensive reading. So extensive reading is basically quite quickly reading the books. As intensive reading requires detailed study of the text. Extensive reading, on the other hand, you know, it is not reading in detail. It is just a quick reading of that particular text. For example, when you are having a comic book or when you are having a fictional book, when you are reading for pleasure, you're just reading for your entertainment. So you'll just try to go through the text quickly. Okay, you will not do it slowly. Okay, you'll not look into the different aspects of the language, the text, the grammars, and all that. You're just reading it for pleasure. Okay, so which you find reading, interesting. When you find reading, when you're reading for pleasure. Okay, so you just go through the text over a long period of time. This is opposite of intensive reading. So this is completely opposite to intensive reading, wherein we have discussed how we read in a slow, careful reading of different texts. So extensive reading involves reading longer texts, generally read for one's pleasure. So as I've told you, extensive reading will not require that slow and careful reading. It is just a quick reading which is done for pleasure. In extensive reading, the reader is concerned with getting the overall meaning or idea of the passage. So, as we have said, extensive reading will not include reading in detail. You just need the overall meaning or the idea of the passage. You just want to know what is the main theme, what is the main idea of that particular text. So, extensive reading is carried out to achieve a general understanding of a text. The aim of extensive reading are to build readers' confidence and enjoyment. It is always done for comprehension of main ideas, not for specific details. So, it is very clear from this line that extensive reading is done just when you need a general understanding of the text. You're not looking for, complete understanding of the text. You're just doing it, to build your confidence, with how much pace you are reading that particular text, and you're reading for enjoyment, you're reading for pleasure. So you're not looking into the specific details of the text. So next method of reading is SQ3R method of reading, which is a very, very important technique and a very effective technique to adopt to, to enhance your reading skills, to understand the complete text, whatever you're going through. So this is a 5-step method. So this method involves 5 steps. So the first step, so S stands for survey, Q stands for question, and the 3 R's are read, recite, and review. Okay, so this is a basically 5-step reading process in which the first step, which is called as the survey. So what do you mean by survey? So survey is when you do a survey of any thing. So what we tend to do is we just want a quick overview of that thing. Okay, we just want to get a quick idea of that particular thing. So the purpose of surveying is to gain a quick overview of a chapter as a whole, its orderly development, and the relationships of main idea to each other. So before reading, what do? We just want to do the survey of the text. We're not going to, don't read the text at the first instance in detail. First, what we need to do is, whenever you adopt this method, so the first thing you could do is doing the survey of the text, not going into the main text, not reading the whole text at first instance. First, what we do is we do the survey to get the quick overall view of that text before reading. So these are the things which you should keep in mind while doing. To survey property. So what do to survey properly? We spend 1 to 2 minutes surveying in the following manner. So how we can go about the surveying of the particular text. So what you need to look over here is scan the piece of writing to establish its purpose and get the main idea. So surveying means just make a note for yourself. You know, just write down in points. Okay, wherein you could establish the purpose of the text. What is the main idea? So what are the points which are telling you, reflecting about the main idea of the text? So just make a note of those points or just underline those points. So in surveying, you're just going through the overall text without going into the detailed thorough reading of that particular text. Okay, so what you could do is, as we have adopted in the intensive reading, we look for the headings, the titles, the subheadings, the main topics, and how the main topics are being developed. Next, you could look into the pictures, the questions, bold or italicized print. Certain words will be italicized, certain words will be bold. So just underline or just go through that, have a glance over it. So, these kinds of highlighted words or, bold and italicized words, letters, they will tell you the importance, that it reflects the importance of these points in the text. Okay. So next thing you could do is introduction and conclusion. So when you look into the introduction and when you go through the conclusion, you get the overview of that particular text. So it will give you, it will tell you about the topics which are going to be covered. It will tell you about its purpose, how it could be helpful, how it could be useful to you. Okay, and next, you could read the first and the last sentences in the paragraphs and footnotes, if any. So when you just go quick, you're having a quick, look, you're having a quick glance of these topics, the headings, the subheadings, the charts, the diagrams. Okay, when you're looking into the first paragraph, the introduction and the conclusion, you get, yeah, what is the text going to be about? So this is the method of survey which you should follow just before going into the detailed reading of the text. So this is step one. So step two is questioning. So what do you mean by question? So questioning means you're going to question, you're going to frame questions regarding the topic, the headings, the subheadings, the introduction, the topic sentence. Okay, so when you are making questions out of these headings and subheadings, you are creating a purpose for yourself which will help you to improve concentration. You become more and more engaged with the text. Your focus improves. Your complete attention will be on answering the questions. So, whatever the headings, the subheadings would be available in the text, you could turn them into the meaningful questions. So just make a note, jot down these questions which which you may ask for yourself. So for example, the questions could be, what is the text about? Have I come across this text before? What does the author mean? What is the purpose behind writing the text? So this could be the main idea behind questioning. Next step will be reading. So this is another important step wherein first thing you have done is you have done the surveying of the text. Next, you have done the questioning part wherein you have created questions for yourself regarding the topics, which will be including the subheadings, headings, the topic sentences, the main ideas. Next, you're going to do is you're going to read that particular text while holding those questions which you have framed before in your mind, so that when you go about reading the text, you are going to answer your questions which are there in your mind. So doing this creates a clearly defined purpose for reading, that is to find the answers to the questions. So you have the questions already framed in your mind, and as you go on gradually reading the text, you find the answers to your questions, okay, gradually. So search for answers to your questions. So when you are reading the text, you're doing this activity of finding the answers for your questions which you have made. So you can make the notes for yourself, and you can highlight main ideas that support the concepts. So making questions and answers increases your memory. So this is a very, engaging activity wherein your mind will be totally engrossed and engaged in the reading. Okay, so the next step, which is reciting. So reciting, as we all know, you are just trying to memorize the topic which you have already read. You are recalling it, you are repeating it to yourself. So reciting helps to put the information into your long-term memory. Put what you have learned in your own words. So whatever text you have read, whatever you have understood, whatever answers you have got to your questions, just try to write it in your own words. So reciting properly is important step to prevent forgetting. So when you are doing this activity of reciting, there are very, very less chances of you to forget about what you have read before. So it helps you to recall the information which you have in your mind, in your brain. So look at a question you have made. So without looking, recite the answer aloud to the question that you made, and check your answer by referring to your notes or the book. So your reciting means you're repeating it to yourself. So whatever questions you have framed, you just try to repeat the answer to that question so that you can memorize it well. It can be stored in your memory for a longer period of time. And next, you can, whatever answer you have decided to yourself, after that, you could just check in your notes whether your answer is correct or not. So just trying to, assess yourself in this way, whether you have understood the text or not. Okay, so the last step is reviewing. Reviewing means, whether you have totally, whether you have really got the text, you have got the main idea of the text, you are completely thorough with the text, you have completely understood with the text. Okay, so step 5 is called as a review. So it is important to review the material to understand at the repeating. So you have read, you have decided, now you're going to review, you're going to recite, you're going to recall whether you have understood, whether you are remembering it, whether there are certain points which you have not understood, which you have made a note of. Again, you will be going to that particular topic so that you can go through that particular text one more time, try to understand it. If you have any doubts, you can get it clarified, whether you have answered all of the questions, whether you have understood the information or no. What were the points you really did not understand, and you need to go back to the text again to understand that topic. So go through that particular information again so you can get a thorough understanding of that particular text. Okay, or that particular point. Next, regular review puts a chapter back together again. In the review, you are answering the question that was made from the chapter title. So as we have, discussed in before reading, when we do the surveying, so you're, framing the question, when you look at the headings, the title. So a review in whether when you have completed with all this process, in this reviewing process, you're trying to, answer yourself whether whatever questions I have framed before reading the text, whether I have understood that, whether I have got an answer. If I'm clear with the answer which I have to the question which I have framed before reading that particular text, before reading the particular chapter. So review could be regular and frequent recitation of the material to be learned. This is an excellent check for learning and can eliminate entering an exam feeling that the material has been learned when it might not have been. So you're not, specifically, not engaging yourself in the rote memory, rote memorizing technique. You over here, you're trying to understand the whole topic on your own talent by using this technique. So this technique, this SQ3R method, is a really very effective method when you need the thorough understanding of the text. So I hope you have understood the different methods of reading which we have discussed today. Thank you very much for being with me. Good afternoon and have a good day.